Are you in Australia, or are you planning on going to Australia, and are you looking for the best, and I'm talking about the best prepaid Australian SIM card out there? Well, stay tuned because today you will find out. Let's get started. Hi, it's Otto from Phone Travelers here, and today we will be talking about the best prepaid SIM card out there in Australia. You may already have watched my comparison video of Australian SIM cards where I took Telstra, Optus and Vodafone to the test, talked about them briefly, did a speed test, and based on that speed test we figured out that Telstra is the fastest. But not everybody really cares about speed. No. Some people just want to get the best overall, as in maybe slightly slower but getting the most data, or you just want to spend the least amount of money on data and just don't really care about coverage because you're gonna stay in the cities anyway. That's why I'm gonna do this, I would say, data driven comparison, because we're gonna take multiple factors into consideration, not just speed, not just prices. No, we're gonna talk about the prices, speed as well, but also about what perks do we get, when do we actually start getting perks, how many minutes do we get to international destinations, do we even get international minutes. With all these things, we are basically able to find which SIM card is the best for you. Because, not like I said initially, speed might not be a concern to you. Maybe you just want to call internationally. Maybe you just want to have the lowest prices for a lot of data. So that's where we're gonna do this data-driven comparison. I would actually recommend you to watch the Australian comparison video up there, because it gives you a brief introduction to the stuff we're gonna build up on. And just to give you a quick summary, in Australia we have three main operators, which are officially known as mobile network operators, or MNOs, but refer to them as main operators because you also have mobile virtual network operators. There's a V in there, which stands for, oh no, that's MVNO. There's a V in there compared to MNO, and sometimes when using these terms all the time it can become confusing. So I use main operators, so there will be Telstra, Optus and Vodafone, and mobile virtual network operators, MVNOs, which are all the smaller operators running on the main operator's network. That's why I use the term main operator. In Australia you have about 50 operators, and 20 of them, they offer prepaid services. Because all these MVNOs use the main operators networks, we actually have to see, okay, well, which one is the best, or which one offers the most. Because if the main operators offers, let's say, a lot of international minutes, then the MVNO will most likely do the same. If they don't, then they won't. Or if the main operator offers a small amount of data, the mobile virtual operator often offers more data. So that's why we need to have the foundations ready and talk about the main operators first. So in this video I won't talk about the mobile virtual network operators, they have their dedicated videos, but for now we'll talk about Telstra, Optus and Vodafone, which you might not really see because it's so bright out there, but yeah, we're gonna talk about these three. Now it's time for us to go to my laptop where I'm gonna go through all the data driven stuff. Alright, so it's time to talk more about, well, the best SIM card in Australia. And first we have to talk about the frequencies. As introduced before, we have different standards. So in Americas, they usually use for 4G LTE 850 MHz, 1700, 2100 MHz, which is often referred to as AWS, and 1900 MHz. And in Asia and Europe, we usually use 900 MHz, 1800 MHz, and 2100 MHz for 4G LTE. So what do they actually use in Australia? Well, as you can see, it's quite, well, I wouldn't say complex, but it's not fitting in one standard or another standard. So, for example, in Telstra, we use 1800. Oh no, that's 3G. Let's just focus on 4G. Well, we have 700 MHz, 1800, and we have a few backups. The same count for Optus, also with a few backups, and Vodafone deviates from that using 850 MHz and also a few backups. Well, where I'm not referring to 2G, as mentioned earlier, Australia shut down that 2G network, I think back in 2017, to make room for more 4G and 4G frequencies. So yeah, so this may seem confusing, but let's just look at the numbers and let's talk about the backups for a bit. So what do the 4G backups mean for Telstra? Well, 1900 megahertz is only used in a handful of locations, and the order to 2100 and 2600 is used in population centers. So let's talk about Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, you know, those big type of places. With Optus, they use 2300 megahertz, which is also known as TDD LTE. also in metropolitan areas only, and 2600 for rural Australia in the outback. And the Vodafone backups are 1800 and 2100. They are just there to supplement their main frequencies. Let's not focus too much about frequencies because it's very technical and it's the boring part of this comparison. So let's take a few scenarios. You are traveling on a budget and you don't really want to spend that much money. Let's say you only have 10 Australian dollars you want to spend on data, or 100 Australian dollars, because everybody's budget is very different. Let's see, well, which one is the best for the amount of money you want to spend. So let's say we only want to spend 1 Australian dollar. Well, what can we buy? Nothing. The only two options we are is getting a Telstra SIM card for free if you order it online, and for Vodafone as well, you have to spend 1 Australian dollar, but you get no credit, you get no data. So with 1 Australian dollar, we can't do anything. We have to increase the budget a little bit. We can't be that cheap, I would say. So what if you want to spend 10 Australian dollars? What are our options then? Well, at least we are able to buy the cheapest package from every operator. So let's see what we have. I have to go up here. So with Telstra, we go with prepaid complete. I didn't mention that earlier, but each operator has different starter packs or SIM cards. In the case, the ones that I recommend for Telstra is prepaid complete. The other one is pay-as-you-go rates. Optus has 4. The only 2 that I would recommend, and actually only one, is Optus Epic Data, which also has Optic Epic Value. The other ones are pay-as-you-go rates, so those are not nice. And then for Vodafone, you have Combo Plus, and you also have a pay-as-you-go one, which I also wouldn't recommend. So these are the 4 options that I would recommend. Basically 3 if we ignore Optus Epic Value, but they met the requirements for this comparison scenario. So let's see, we have 4 options. With Telstra, if you spend 10 Australian dollars, we can get 1 gigabyte of data. With Optus, we can get 10 gigabytes of data, and with Vodafone, 4 gigabytes of data. Wow. Based on these numbers, the only downside with Optus is that the data is only valid for 5 days instead of a full week, whereas the Epic Value one is valid for 21 days, which you only get 500 megabytes. So we can easily conclude that, well, the Optic Epic Data is the best SIM card if you only want to spend 10 Australian dollars. You get the most data for 10 Australian dollars. So let's go to 30 Australian dollars. We still have 4 options. We have Telstra with all these plans. I'm not going to mention them anymore, but these are all 4 options. So for 30 Australian dollars, we can get 8 gigabytes of data with Telstra. With Optus, we can get 10 gigabytes of data, and Vodafone, we can get 10 gigabytes of data. All of these are 28 days. And once again, I would just ignore Optus Epic Value. They're all valid for 4 weeks. So you would basically think that Optus and Vodafone, they are both the best because, well, you know, they get the same amount of data and the same validity. Well, that's something that I didn't really mention yet. Well, I did mention in the other video, but there has been a promotion going on with Optus that if you buy one of their more expensive plans, so starting from 30 Australian dollar or more, you get more data for your first 3 recharges. So instead of getting, in this case, 10 gigabytes of data, you actually get more gigabytes of data. In this case, you get 35 gigabytes. So spending 30 Australian dollars, you get 35 gigabytes of 30 gigabytes for $30. Well, it's the winner. Even though Vodafone gave you 10 and it looked like Optus also gave you 10, Optus will get you 25. Remember, this promotion can end at any time, but this promotion will be going on for, I don't know how long, I think at least months, but maybe even years. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. But if you want to spend 30 Australian dollar and the promotion of Optus ends, then you should go for Vodafone or Optus. Those are good options for your Epic data, of course. Now we want to spend 50 Australian dollars. What can we actually get? Well, we still have our 4 options. With Telstra, their data allowance finally went up. It shot up with 28 gigabytes. And with Optus, we get 40 gigabytes. And with Vodafone, we get 30 gigabytes. And as you can see, the difference between the Telstra and Optus one is that Vodafone gives you an extra week. So 35 days, which is 5 weeks. But then again, Optus still gives you the most gigabytes of data. So yeah. But remember the promotion, I almost forgot that, but the promotion, instead of getting 40 gigabytes of data, you get 65 gigabytes of data. So Optus already won, but he won it double because of the extra data. So yeah, Optus is doing well in terms of budget travel. Now, let's talk about 10 Australian dollar. Well, no, not 10 Australian dollar, 100 Australian dollar. And this one was a bit difficult to compare because not all the operators have a 100 Australian dollar plan. let's say, for example, with Vodafone, the most you can spend is 60, or you can spend more, but then it would go over the 100 Australian dollar budget. And with Telstra, same. I think it went from 50 to 150 or 180, something like that. So this comparison is not the best, but it's still something, to keep in mind of. And do note that if you, for example, buy the Telstra one, thinking that, well, let me just buy two of them, you cannot buy a new plan unless, if I'm correct, unless you are out of your data allowance or until the plan expires. So that's something that you can try, but in this case, if you look at the numbers, Optus will give you 60 gigabyte of data for 100 Australian dollar for, well, 4 weeks, a month. So yeah, Optus doing well again, and instead of 60, you get 85. Optus is killing it in terms of the money spent, or the gigabytes you get for the money spent. So Optus Epic Data is the best for spending, well, I think almost every budget. Well, of course, I didn't went all the way up to 200 and 300 Australian dollar, because that's not a budget anymore. Even 100 is already not falling on a budget travel, but hey, those are just some scenarios. So let's go to speed. Well, in my first comparison video, we learned that Telstra was the fastest. And when I was in Australia, and mainly in Melbourne, I did 5 speed tests with Telstra and Vodafone, and 4 speed tests with Optus. Why did Optus get 1 speed test less? I forgot that the Optus data pack is only valid for 5 days instead of 7. So when I was going to do the speed test, it was already in the evening, and then I realized that I had to hurry, and I don't want to do a speed test just at one place, so I had to hurry to go to another place. And before I could get to the 5th place to do the speed test, I was already out of my data. So that's why I only got 4 speed tests with Optus. But as we can see here, I got the fastest download speed with Telstra, and as you can see, 350 megabits per second download, which is insanely high. It's incredible, and it's especially incredible because Australia is also known for having very bad broadband internet. So seeing that the mobile speeds are through the roof is amazing. So that's just the absolute speed. That's just, one speed test that got the highest speed. But what if we look at the average? Well, as I said, I did 5 speed tests with, 4 to 5 speed tests with all of them. And with Telstra, I managed to get the average download speed of 226. Would it be higher or lower if I did more tests? Probably yes, but I also had the data allowance and validity that I had to keep in mind of. But even still, a download speed of average of more than 200 is excellent. That's more than most operators around the world. So very well with Telstra. And let's see the speeds ranked. Well, with Telstra I got, of course, the highest with 226. Vodafone I got 100, and Optus 44. And I'm actually very surprised with Vodafone, because Vodafone has had, or maybe still has, a bad reputation in Australia for having the worst, or being the worst, which you can indirectly say that they are in terms of coverage, which I won't talk about that in this video, where the coverage Telstra is the best, then Optus, then Vodafone. And if you're going to the outback, so if you're gonna be, let's say, a backpack working holiday, and you're gonna do farm work or stuff like that, avoid Vodafone, because you won't get any reception at all. Whereas with Telstra, they have the best coverage, and most of the time you will have, unless you go to like extremely rural, to some desert or some forest, then, well, probably nothing. But Telstra is the best network, and they also have the best speed. And with Vodafone, well, if you're staying in the bigger cities or bigger towns, villages, you can go ahead. But if you are on the road and stuff like that, you may want to avoid them. And Optus, quite surprised that I got such low speeds on average. And remember, I did 4 speed tests with them, so I'm not just talking about 1 or 2, multiple. So quite surprised they were that slow. But hey, those are just my speed test results. They can differ depending on your phone, where you're at. In this case, I was in Melbourne, so that also affects. Well, let's talk about upload, which is not that interesting, but it's quite important to talk about too. With Telstra, got the fastest upload speed with almost 60, and then the average one then actually managed to get the highest average upload speed with Optus, which came there. But then again, I only did 4 speed tests with Optus instead of 5, so that might skew the results. But upload, if you want to upload other stuff, Optus might be the best. And then the average upload speeds, well, those are Okay, well, not as high as Telstra's download speed, but you most often won't get super high upload speeds anyway. So these upload speeds are fine, especially for uploading short videos on Instagram or on YouTube. If you do YouTube, for example, these upload speeds are fine. You don't have to worry about that. So let's talk about international calls and minutes. In my other comparison video, I talk about that all these operators starts offering international minutes with the plans when you spend at least 30 or 40 Australian dollar, depending on the operator. Well, for some people, they don't really care because they use voice over IP via IP apps like WhatsApp call, or voice chat, or whatever, Facebook Messenger, FaceTime, all those type of apps, Skype, Fiber, Line. I said all the type of apps, but that's that. But you actually also get international minutes and SMS. So I wanted to see, well, which one is the best for international calls, and yeah, which one gets the most. Well, not the most minutes, because the minutes go all the way to 500 or 1,000 or even 3,000, if I'm correct. But let's see which one gets the most destinations. So let's go there. Let's go back up. Well, with Telstra Prepaid Compete, you get a lot of minutes to 20 zone 1 destinations and few minutes to 30 zone 2 destinations. In total, you can call to 50 destinations. And what are these zones? Well, these operators have different zones depending on which plan you buy. You get more minutes for zone 1 destinations and fewer for zone 2 destinations. And zone 2 destinations are which they consider less popular countries or destinations around the world where Australians call to. So from Australia calling to some other place. With Optus Epic Data, you get unlimited minutes. So if you want to call for 10,000 minutes, you can, although I'm pretty sure there's some sort of a fair use limit, but let's just say that you can call for 10,000 minutes. You can do so to only 15 destinations. For other destinations, you will have to use pay-as-you-go credit. And with Vodafone Combo Plus, you get a lot of minutes to 20 Zone 1 destinations, a few minutes to 69. So let's just say 70 Zone 2 destinations, which is a credible amount of countries you can call to. But these are just some numbers, so we actually want to know where we can call to. Well, I put them all in a list, which we will see later, and then we can see what we can do. But let's just have a quick summary of what we learned. So with Optus, you can make unlimited calls with a plan, but it's only to 15 destinations. Most of these destinations, they are okay, but some people want to call more further away or to more exciting destinations. Both Telstra and Vodafone, they include international minutes to various destinations. And like I said, zone 2 destinations get fewer minutes than zone 1 destinations. With Vodafone, you actually get international SMS, and you get 50 SMS that you can use in other plans. So even the cheapest one, which is 10 Australian dollars, you can text people. That's part of your plan. And it doesn't seem to be any restrictions to which numbers you can text to. So if you want to text to, let's say, a faraway place from Australia, I don't know, someplace in Africa, let's say Djibouti. You can, or at least that's what I said. I couldn't find any restrictions, but that's nice. And Telstra and Optus plan come with extra credits that can be used to international calls to non-zone 1 and 2 destinations. So let's say, I know on top of my head that Afghanistan is not included with any of these plans. And if you need to call or even text to Afghanistan with Telstra Optus, you can, because these plans come with some credits from 5 Australian dollar to some high number. So you don't have to actually use pay-as-you-go credits depending on which plan you have. I know that the cheapest plans, they don't come with any extra credit, so that's something to be aware of. So now, how do you actually get these these plans? So with Telstra, if you spend 20 Australian dollars, you get the extra credit, and when you spend at least 30 Australian dollars, you get a minimum of 300 minutes to zone 1 destinations and 60 minutes to zone 2 destinations. With Optus, you have to spend at least 30 Australian dollars to get your international calls to the 15 destinations, and that's also when you start getting the extra credit. With Vodafone, you have to spend at least 10 Australian dollars to get the international SMS, and at least 40 Australian dollars to get the 500 minutes to Zone 1 destinations and the 100 minutes for Zone 2 destinations. So that's just basic summary of, well, not the summary, but the minimum you have to spend in order to start getting these perks. So here we can see a very large list of places you can call to. Well, I will go to the countries. And as you can see, well, I have the listed saying that, let's say Argentina for Telstra is for zone 2 destination. I don't know what happened there. And for us for zone 2 destinations. So just quickly go to all the countries, but if you want to take your time to read through this, go to the comparison post, phonetravelways.com/Australia-comparison, and you can find the table down there in the post. So I would just say quickly the countries, and you can see on the right which operators covers them and in which zone. And for Optus, they don't have zone, it's just yes, because they just include them or not. All right, let's get started. Andorra, Argentina, Austria, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Belgium, Bermuda, Bolivia, Brazil, Brunei, Cambodia, Canada, Canary Islands, Cayman Islands, Chile, China, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Dominican Republic, Egypt, Eswatini, or formerly known as Swaziland, Faroe Islands, France, Germany, Gibraltar, Greece, Guadeloupe, Guam, Guatemala, Hong Kong, Hungary, Iceland. Let's go down a bit. Iceland, India, Indonesia, Ireland, Iran as well, Israel, Italy, Japan, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Kuwait, Laos, Lebanon, Luxembourg, Macau, Malaysia, Malta, Mexico, Mongolia, Mozambique, Namibia, Nepal, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Nigeria, the Northern Mariana Islands, Norway, Pakistan, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, the Philippines, Poland, Portugal. Scroll. Let's see where we have Portugal, Puerto Rico, Reunion, if pronounced correctly, Romania, Russia, San Marino, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Slovakia, South Africa, South Korea, Spain, Sri Lanka, Sweden, Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, Turkmenistan, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, United States, Uruguay, Vatican City, Venezuela, and Vietnam. Wow, I hope you didn't click away yet, but there's a summary of all of this, and let's just quickly go to that. So what did we actually learn, if you were able to stay on track, is that if you buy a SIM card from each operator, so from both, from either Telstra, Optus, and Vodafone, you can call to at least 92 different countries without additional charges, and Vodafone covers 85 of them. So Vodafone has incredible selection, and all operators, so regardless of which one you buy, they cover Canada, China, France, Germany, Hong Kong, India, Ireland, Japan, Malaysia, New Zealand, South Korea, Sweden, United Kingdom, and United States, either part of their zone 1 or zone 2 inclusion. So those are the popular international destinations for Australians, because they either call to these places or they actually visit these places a lot. Telstra is the only operator that includes Kenya and Kuwait. Vodafone is the only operator to include a lot of countries, which I won't go through that again because I might have already bored you earlier. Optus does not cover any country that Telstra or Vodafone does not cover. And if you need to call to Iran, Kenya, Kuwait, Nigeria, or Norway, we'll go with Telstra because Vodafone doesn't cover these destinations. So based on these findings, with 85 countries that you can call and actually also text to, Vodafone is the best SIM card to do so. So now with all these covered, which SIM card is the best? We basically learned that, well, every SIM card is the best in some way. So what do I mean? Well, Optus was the best when we looked at budget because they gave the most data for the money spent for a certain data package. $10 Australian, Optus One. 30, Optus One. 50, Optus One again. 100 was a bit difficult to compare because of the different prices, but even then, Optus One again. If I'm correct, they gave you 85 gigabytes of data for $100 Australian, which is incredible. I wish more operators around the world would do the same for the local equivalent. So I think $100 Australian is, well, the foreign currency rate went down because of the virus that was going on. So I don't know on top of my head, but still, Optus is the best for considering the price to data allowance ratio into account. At Telstra, we know that Telstra is the best for speeds. I got insane high speed, and they also have the best coverage. That's just an objective. That's a fact. A lot of Australians know that. And Vodafone would be the best for those who wish to call and text upon because the inclusions to a lot of minutes you get and the countries you can text and call to. So with these three things, which one is the best? Well, I would say it's a bit difficult because in general, I would say Optus. If you only focus on data, because that's the main thing we focus on, all the other perks are nice and fun, but if you're mainly interested in data, Optus will be the best because you get the most data for the money spent. just is the fact. If you want to get quality, then Telstra. In case you're going to the outback, you're going on a road trip or road trips, you are a backpacker, you're a backpacker and you're on a working holiday, then Telstra might be the best. If you don't really want to spend that much money, Optus also has a good coverage and network, but it's not as great as Telstra. And let's say if you are picking strawberries somewhere and you notice that some of your friends have a connection and you can't, well, that's because Telstra has a better network. And Vodafone, if you need to call and text abroad, so if you don't want to use WhatsApp, or let's say you need to call landline phone because some countries, let's say somebody doesn't have a mobile phone, well, yeah, then Vodafone will be the best. But I would say that in general, Optus will be the best bet if you want to sacrifice a little bit on coverage and quality. I just want to get the most data you want. So that's how I would conclude this video. So I hope you enjoyed. I know this was a lot of data driven stuff, but in order to get all of this information, I had to take everything into consideration, all the data packages and all the other stuff. If you want to see all of that, you can see it in my comparison post, phoneservice.com/Australia-comparison. And then you can quickly see, well, if you're interested in Optus, so let's say you only want to spend $30, well, we did the $30 comparison already here, but let's say if you want to spend 20 Australian dollars or 40, or with Telstra, let's say, you want to spend 50 and you don't really want that much data. Well, we already did it in this comparison, but let's say if you only want to spend 40 or stuff like that, and all the stuff, it's all in a nice overview based on the operators, so all the Telstra SIM cards and packages in one, and then Optus and Vodafone. Based on that, you can make a decision. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this comparison. If you did, make sure to click the like button and comment down below what you think about these findings. This is not the stuff you can easily find around the web because, well, let's just say I spent a lot of hours getting all this stuff together and to condense it in this short video. It's quite long, but still shorter than what it could have been. And if you enjoyed, make sure to click the subscribe button. And if you want these type of reviews in written form or just short reviews, let's say a Telstra review, you can if you go to my blog phoneservice.com, where I do this type of reviews all the time, like individual operators, but also the three the three combined. But I also talk about international SIM cards, mobile hotspots, and also roam rate provider, because although local SIM cards are in almost all cases cheaper than roaming, it doesn't always have to be super expensive. And I just cover everything related to traveling with your phone. That's it for today, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.